Hey everybody, welcome to J Stern Designs. For today's Quick Tip Tuesday, I'm going to show you how to raise the rise on your jean or pant pattern. This is a question I got from Susie on my blog, so thank you very much for checking in and posting a question. Raising rise is really easy to do, and the one thing you have to remember is if you raise the rise in the front and in the back, it needs to be equal at the side seam. So if it's just a matter of raising it up at, let's say, an inch all the way around, you're just going to add that inch to both front and back. But if you need to add 3 inches in the back and only 2 or even 1 inch in the front, then what you need to do is split the difference and add sort of a middle of the road amount on the side seam. For example, if you're going to add 1 inch in the front and 3 inches in the back, you may want to add 2 inches on the side. And that's going to give you sort of a nice smooth progression from front to back. You never want to add 0 at the side seam and an amount front and back, because then your waistband will go whoop to the side seam and whoop back up, and that's not going to be smooth. So if you're in a situation where you're not sure if you need to add to the side seam, but you feel like your center front and back is too low, then add an equal amount all the way around, and you can tweak it in your muslin later. Okay, so that's the one rule you don't want to do. You don't want to add to the front and back and not the side. Okay, so keep that in mind. You can, however, the one exception to that, however, is you can add 0 to the side if you're only adding to the front or back. So let's say your front is fine, but you need a little more height in the back. You can add, 2 inches in the back and go to 0 at the side seam. But the thing is, you just can't go back up to the front. All right, so those are the few little sort of rules about raising rise. And now let me show you how to do it. All right, everybody. Here's my front leg. And if you're working with a jean pattern, you'll notice that you've got this front pocket shape. That means I'm going to raise my rise below the pocket, and I'm going to do it through the zipper seam allowance as well. If I raise my rise above the pocket, then I'm just going to have to redraw this shape or reshape it or deal with all the pocket pieces, and I don't want to spend my time doing that. So I'm going to draw my line to make this adjustment below the pocket like this. All right, now this is the front. Let's say, for example, we are going to raise the front 1 inch. All right, so 1 inch in the front. And for our back, let's say for our back, we need to raise the center back, let's say 2.5 inches. All right, so we've got 2.5 inches here and 1 inch here. That means for our side seam, I'm going to pick an amount that's sort of in the middle of that so I can get a nice smooth transition. So I'm going to raise my side seam 1 3/4 inches here, and I'm going to raise it 1 3/4 inches here. Okay, it's really important that you do that, because if you forget and raise the back an uneven amount to the front on the side seam, they won't sew back together. So that's why that's important. All right, so let's start with the front. I drew my guideline. I know I have to do 1 inch here and 1 3/4 inches here. And even if you know, just write it down, because it's a visual cue and it helps you remember what you're doing. So I'm going to slash my pattern on my line like this. And then I'm going to take a piece of pattern paper, a scrap of it, and I'm going to tape it to the bottom portion of my pattern. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure up 1 inch on my center front. So here's where my slash is, you can see it. So I'm going to measure 1 inch up from that. And I'll just draw my line too while I'm at it. So it goes to here. All right, so there's my inch that I'm adding here. All right, so here's my slash, so you can see it. I'm just going to do 1 3/4 like this. Okay, you'll notice I'm using this quilting ruler. I don't like using quilting rulers to do pattern adjustments. I like using these clear grid rulers, but you can see this one's broken and my blue one is packed with my class supplies today. So of course it's silly of me that I only have 2 of these rulers. I'm going to buy some more, but these are much easier to work with. But for now I can just get away with this because I packed my ruler. Okay, so now just what we're going to do is we're going to connect those lines that we made like that. Okay, so you can see I've added my 1 3/4 and my inch here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put my top back on. I'm going to tape it like I mean it. So that means I'm going to cover the entire cut edge with tape so nothing comes undone. All right, so there's my front raised. And let's do the back now. All right, so the nice part about working on the back is there's no pocket to worry about here. So I do not have to slash my pattern to raise the rise. I'm simply gonna measure up the amount I need. And of course I drew right where I'm gonna be working, so I'm gonna use a different color. I'll use my black Sharpie so it's clear. All right, so this is where I'm measuring from. And I'm just going to measure up the 1 3/4. Okay, and over here, I'm gonna do my 2.5 inches in the center front. Now, one thing I wanna make note of when I'm doing my center back, notice I'm lining my ruler up with the direction of my back crotch seam. You don't wanna go straight up like this, because as you get higher, the small of your back gets, narrower. So you wanna sort of follow the line of your back crotch. So again, I'm gonna go up 2 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to connect that. All right, so there's my, I'm sorry. See how that looks funny? I'm sorry, I made a mistake. See, I'm talking and I didn't measure right. This is supposed to be 2.5 inches. So see how easy it is to make a mistake? Let me just fix that, I'm sorry. Another 1/2 inch. Okay. All right, so now it's correct. All right. Okay, so it's not this one, I'm sorry. All right, so we've got our 2.5 inches here. We've got our 1 3/4 here. And if I put these side by side, you can see that we've raised an equal amount on the side seam. All right, so that's how you raise the rise. I hope you enjoyed today's quick tip. Tomorrow I'm going to teach jeans in Rhode Island, and my students have spent the week making their muslins after fitting the pattern initially last week. So I'm going to take some photos and pick a fitting issue that I help someone with in class tomorrow with their permission. And I'm going to use that for Thursday's quick tip. So look for that on Thursday. So if you have any questions about raising rise, please post them below or visit my blog at jsterndesigns.com. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you Thursday.